Um, I woke up first thing this morning and I thought to myself, I should probably do some sort of early morning meditation gig again. Do some fake yoga moves and get the body stretched out. Mostly because I haven't stretched in probably 3 days, which is quite a bit. And any real good stretching has probably been like months. I mean, not really, but it sure feels like it. Anyway, so my daughter has been sick. She came down with a little bug on Monday, and then brought the fever home with her. And we kind of did that whole thing, and she's mostly just kind of needed me to wait on her hand and foot because she's been really weak. Anyway, so I started thinking about all the lessons that I've taught her as I watched her laying there. And honestly, that kid she just blows me away with what she's able to retain in such a tiny form. And the more patience that I afford her, the more that I surrender to knowing it all. It seems like she's like I don't have anything to compare it to. She doesn't have any other kids, but in my very limited scope as a child care provider, meaning any of those. You see most of my head here? I'm tired of sitting up. I kind of want to just sort of lean down a little bit. I'm sort of tired of moving around, Anyways, so in all of my experiences with children, there have been a few that have shown this quick pace, picking up on things. Give it to me one moment and somehow miraculously the next moment, even without some tutelage, I get it. And this child that I tend to seems to be a microcosm of all the other choices that I have to make out in that world. It's all uncertainty. I never know what I'm doing and if it's going to work. I only have these feelings. But it seems like the closer I keep my feelings to feeling good and feeling happy, that seems to be the catalyst for the child picking up on things quicker. If I try and get sassy or snappy, I can see the ego in the child pop up. I see it come out. It's almost like there's not an ego until you antagonize it, and then once you antagonize it, it gets this singular feeling, and then once it has a singular feeling, then it just kind of wants to explore that. So I don't know that ego, since we decided to label it ego. Uh-oh. It's my alarm. Let me turn that off real quick. But it seems like we're going to have to kind of let ego sort of dance along the process with us. It's clearly something that is happening. A friend of mine did a video on ego. People are always trying to get rid of ego. And honestly, when it comes to evolution, you sort of need an antagonizer. And it seems like if we could have the children be the antagonizers, since they're so delicate, and potentially maybe use it to train the adults to have endless patience, because you don't see the kids pulling out AK-47s. You don't see them first choice wanting to blow somebody's brains out. Yeah, I'm sure there's kids out there. You notice how I'm not talking with my hands today? I mean, I want to, believe me, they've been shaking down here. I wonder if that's the child now. That is not the child. I think that is the kitty cat in the kitty litter box. But if we want others to learn from us, children or anyone else, it would seem that first and foremost an infinite amount of patience. As long as we're not touching each other, it seems like we've got some pretty good stuff going on. And the benefit of the doubt, when I say trust, I don't mean blind trust. I don't mean just going into something blindly. I mean weighing out all the risk, looking at all the options, seeing what all the potentialities are that you can come up with. But if you can only come up with one potentiality, if you can only come up with one scenario that could maybe happen, I gotta tell you, that kind of stems from intention. When you have something specific that you seek to accomplish, whether it be in another being or even just another time in your life, maybe a future or something, or maybe a tomorrow, you have to put out some sort of direct intention. You have to say specifically, and I'll tell you from firsthand experience, be really careful with what you say, because it will arrive. That is true. And sometimes it arrives in a way that you weren't necessarily expecting it. So, be real specific, and also forgive yourself for knowing that you might not know how to ask for certain things in the beginning. You might kind of befuddle your way through with these half intentions, thinking they're full intentions at the time, because that's what we do. We see it brand new and we're like, and there's always more layers. So that's a good thing, because one, you found something new. And two, now you get to learn about all the different layers of it. And three, you get to choose something again. It's just so great. But for me specifically, the only way that I feel like I am parenting my child, and any child I would say, whose self or parent allowed me to spend time with it, you know what? I think that maybe I just got so inspired. Maybe sometimes I don't even know what to say. Like right now I'm holding back tears. Not because I don't want to cry, but man, I've cried on some videos before. And it's not because I'm not like overly emotional. It's just sometimes I feel this feeling of this connection to these beings in my body. I'm not a kindergarten teacher. I've been in that classroom before, and oh my, wow. I left. I think it was an accident. I stopped in and was a volunteer because the parapro, the student aide, and another teacher in the classroom was absent. So this one teacher became responsible for an entire classroom of kindergartners, which wouldn't seem like that big of a deal, except it was a split classroom, so it was slightly larger. And I went in there, and she gave me a group and some instructions. Piece of cake, no big deal, except that every student that I had was so drastically different. Now, I've looked at kids before from that perspective where, they're cute kids, or they're fun kids, or they're smart kids, or they're fast-running kids. But when you get to a certain point after watching humans so closely, after seeing how they behave and seeing how they react and seeing what their mannerisms are and their little idiosyncrasies, when you see all of those tiny little details for such a long period of time, I mentioned this in my last, well, not my last video, I got a little gung-ho on videos yesterday, but I mentioned that those little, maybe it's too early for me to be talking. Am I talking too much? Okay, anyways, as I cultivated my understanding of how we communicate as humans together, I also was faced with so many different chemical reactions that it became extremely recognizable to me. So when I was in that classroom with those children, I was able to see very quickly each child for who they were trying to be, or rather who they were naturally being, and trying to be in that space with others, being natural, also trying to fit in. So how we as educators, and I'm not here to claim a degree, I'm not here to claim that PhDs are the way to go or not the way to go. What I'm telling myself mostly and others is, if you have some natural inclination to speak to people or share information or instruct anyone, it's probably a really good idea to get your own self under wraps. Like, really be able to be humbled and be able to sit in silence and be able to allow and be able to give another person an opportunity to experience that oh, there's the hand. That becoming, because that's where it's at. That that unfolding. And hello, grown-ups have gotten just a little bit pushy, I think. I mean, it could be me, but I'm pretty sure they've gotten pushy. I've pretty much spent, well, I guess it's been like 5 years now. I was thinking it was just 3, but I like spent 5 years not pushing. And some people think that that's passive, but when I look at the world on the whole, I just really felt like there were lots of things I needed to learn about it before I'm going to sit there and try and tell it what it's supposed to be doing. Really? Not that I'll ever tell it what it's supposed to be doing. I can only tell me this portion of Earth, what I'm supposed to be doing. I can only look at my particles and my chemicals and my atoms and my peanut butter on my pants. Gross. Well, it's not gross. I mean, it's peanut butter on a knee. I could have easily spilled coffee on myself. But, yeah, so that's pretty much it, Take some time and really look at the person that you're standing across from. Really give it beyond a college try. Really put some effort into it. Like, want it. I mean, you've got to cultivate that wanting. You actually have to work at wanting that and wanting to have the desire to be educated at all times and to educate at all times. You don't have to go to school for it. You just have to believe that you're a teacher and it's truth. And anyone that tells you that that's not true is, in my opinion, slightly shallow. I think that there is an intense depth into experiencing each of us, and we should consider it more often. Maybe. I don't know. You do whatever you want to do. That's just my gig, I do that kind of stuff because that's what I do. Anyways, all right. Peace out, people.